Let's strip away the government marketing. They will tell you the digital ruble is about faster payments, lower fees, and fighting corruption. That is the bait. The reality is that for the first time in human history, the state is moving from observing your money to programming your life. In the legacy world, once the money is in your pocket, it is an inert asset. You can spend it, hide it, or burn it. The state doesn't know where it is or what it's doing until it re-enters the banking system. The digital ruble changes the very nature of currency. It is no longer money. It is a voucher with conditions. It is a piece of code that the central bank can edit in real time. The architect realizes that the digital ruble is programmable servitude because this currency is actually just an entry in a centralized database controlled directly by the state. They can implement spending parameters. Imagine waking up and finding out your digital rubles won't work at a gas station because you've exceeded your carbon quota for the month. Imagine trying to buy a plane ticket, but the transaction is declined because you haven't completed your mandatory health update. Or worse, imagine the social credit integration. If you follow a dissident channel on Telegram or attend an unauthorized gathering, your digital rubles are automatically geo-fenced. They only work for groceries and medicine within a 5-mile radius of your apartment. This is not science fiction. This is the functional architecture of CBDCs in 2026. The soft men are currently being lured into this trap with the promise of convenience. They love the idea of airdrops and subsidies sent directly to their digital wallets. They don't realize that every gift from the state comes with a behavioral hook. The digital ruble allows for granular monetary policy. The central bank can implement negative interest rates on a person-by-person basis. If they want to stimulate the economy, they can simply put an expiration date on your savings. Spend these 50,000 rubles by Friday, or they vanish. You are no longer saving. You are consuming on command. You have lost the ability to accumulate patient capital. You are a hamster on a wheel, forced to run faster just to keep your vouchers from expiring. This is the total destruction of the middle class and the birth of a perpetual underclass. Furthermore, we must address the end of the Financial Privacy Act. In the legacy system, if the police wanted to see your bank records, they usually needed a warrant or a suspicious activity report. With the digital ruble, the central bank is the record. There is no third party to protect you. Every transaction, no matter how small, is timestamped, GPS located, and categorized by AI. They know what you eat, what you read, who you sleep with, and who you support. This is the transparent soul protocol. The state becomes an omniscient god of your finances. They can see the intent behind your spending. If you try to buy a gray zone asset, the system flags you before the transaction even completes. You are living in a glass house built by the FSB. The architect understands that the digital ruble is the final seal on the totalitarian enclosure. Without the ability to transact anonymously, you have no right to dissent. If the state can turn off your ability to buy food with a single keystroke, they don't need secret police. They just need a compliance algorithm. The soft man thinks he has rights, but the architect knows that rights without a private ledger are just suggestions. If you cannot fund your own defense, your own movement, and your own survival independently of the state's permission, you are not a citizen. You are a user of the state's platform, and your account can be banned at any time. Part 1 is the brutal reality. The digital ruble is a financial GPS shackle. It is designed to track you, to steer you, and to punish you in real time. It is the end of the cash economy and the birth of the social credit economy. If you enter this system without a sovereign exit, you are volunteering for a life of permissioned existence. You are giving the lords of the grid a remote control for your life. The trap is being set. The free trial is over. It's time to look at the gray zone response. Let's talk about the window of liquidity. Right now, in 2026, we are in the hybrid phase. The legacy banking system and the digital ruble coexist, but the lords of the grid are slowly closing the bridges. They are increasing the fees on cash withdrawals. They are flagging P2P crypto transfers as suspicious activity, and they are incentivizing the conversion into the digital ruble. The soft man is waiting. He thinks he has time, but the architect knows that liquidity is a perishable resource. Every day you wait to exit is a day the state adds a new compliance layer to your exit ramp. You must execute a sequential asset migration. This means systematically bleeding your visible fiat into invisible hard assets. The first move in the great decoupling is the debanking of the emergency fund. In the legacy world, you kept 6 months of expenses in a savings account for security. In the world of the digital ruble, that security is a liability. It is a pool of capital that can be frozen, expired, or geofenced in seconds. The architect moves his emergency liquidity into anonymous bearer instruments. We are talking about physical gold and silver, but also hard fiat cash, while it still has velocity, and non-custodial stablecoins on privacy-centric chains. You want wealth that has zero counterparty risk. If the digital ruble network goes offline for a social credit update, your gold and your private wallet still work. You have decoupled your survival from the state's server. The second maneuver is the crypto offshore bridge. The state wants to trap you in a closed-loop economy where the digital ruble only trades with other state-sanctioned digital currencies. To beat this, you must master the cross-chain stealth protocol. You use non-KYC, know your customer, decentralized exchanges, DEXs, to move your value from trackable assets into privacy coins like Monero. Once your wealth is in a privacy-centric ledger, the financial GPS of the digital ruble loses the signal. You become a ghost in the chain. You can then bridge that value into offshore yield in jurisdictions that don't share data with the FSB. You aren't hiding money. You are restoring financial privacy in a world that has declared war on it. Furthermore, we must address the rise of the shadow barter economy. By 2026, a parallel market is emerging in Russia and Eastern Europe. Because the digital ruble is too expensive due to taxes and monitoring for small-scale trade, people are returning to value-for-value exchange. The architect builds his network of trust. He trades service for asset or good for good. You provide cybersecurity consulting for a local farmer, and in return, he provides grass-fed beef and raw dairy. No digital rubles are exchanged. No tax event is triggered. No algorithm is notified. This is the invisible GDP. It is the lifeblood of the gray zone. The more of your life you can move into this shadow network, the less the programmable slavery of the state affects you. You become a sovereign node in a decentralized web of humans. The architect also utilizes synthetic real estate and tokenized equity. Instead of buying a physical house that is registered in a state database, making it a target for the digital ruble's property tax auto-deduction, you buy tokenized deeds in international real estate funds. You own the economic value of the property, but the legal title is held by a jurisdictional ghost entity. This allows you to harvest the yield of the world's growth without being tethered to a specific state grid. Your wealth is fluid. It flows through the gaps in the global regulatory system. If the digital ruble system implements a wealth levy, your assets are not found because they exist in a different legal dimension. However, we must warn you about the CBDC honeypot. As the state rolls out the digital ruble, they will offer discounts and cashback for those who use it. They might offer a 10% discount on utility bills or groceries if paid in digital rubles. The soft man sees this as a win. The architect sees it as a bait for the trap. This is the subsidized enclosure. Once you move your entire spending life into the digital ruble to save 10%, you have surrendered 100% of your autonomy. The state now has the remote control to your life. They can reward your compliance and punish your dissent. The architect pays the privacy premium. He would rather pay 10% more in cash or crypto to remain unindexed. He knows that freedom is the most expensive luxury in 2026, and it is worth every cent. The final stage of the decoupling is the digital fortress. You must move your economic identity away from your biological identity. You use burner identities, VPNs, and encrypted hardware to manage your gray zone wealth. You never access your sovereign reserve from a device that is linked to your digital ruble wallet. You create a firewall of separation. To the state, you are a basic citizen with a low-balance digital ruble account who is struggling to get by. But in the shadow ledger, you are a high net worth operator with assets spread across 5 jurisdictions and 3 blockchains. This is the double life of the architect. It is the only way to survive the totalitarian final boss. Part 2 is the tactical pivot. Stop being transparent to the state and start being opaque. The digital ruble is designed to make you a glass man in a glass world. The architect becomes the mirror man. He reflects back only what the state wants to see, while keeping his real self and his real wealth in the shadows. The window is closing. The digital ghetto is being built. If you don't build your exit bridge now, you will be trapped in a system where your permission to exist is a line of code that can be deleted at midnight. We have one part left: the post-CBDC world and the sovereign mindset. The final barrier to your freedom is not the central bank's server. It is your own compliance instinct. For generations, the soft men have been trained to seek legitimacy. They want their wealth to be verified, their status to be recognized and their transactions to be official. In the age of the digital ruble, legitimacy is the leash. If the state recognizes your wealth, the state can regulate, tax, or delete it. The architect performs a psychological hard fork. He accepts that in 2026, true freedom exists only in the unofficial world. He embraces the status of the economic outlaw, not as a criminal, but as a sovereign actor who refuses to let a bureaucrat's algorithm define his right to trade. You must master the art of financial masking. This is the gray man strategy applied to the digital ledger. The system is designed to look for anomalies. If you have 0 transactions in your digital ruble account, you are a red flag. You look like a dissident or a tax evader. The architect practices strategic compliance. He keeps a dummy account in the digital ruble system. He uses it to pay his official bills, buy his official groceries, and receive his official and minimal income. He looks like a model peasant. He provides the algorithm with exactly the data it wants to see. But this is just a front-end interface. His back-end reality is entirely decoupled. His real wealth is moving through the gray zones we discussed in part 2. He is transparent on the surface but opaque in the depths. He is a financial stealth bomber. Image: a silhouette of a man walking through a digital city. On the state scanner, he appears as a simple, low-value dot. But under the surface, he is a complex golden network of interconnected sovereign nodes. The second pillar of the sovereign mindset is jurisdictional polyglottism. In 2026, the lords of the grid want you to think that the global CBDC network is a monolithic wall. They want you to believe there is nowhere to run. The architect knows that the world is actually a fractured mosaic. Different states have different pain points and different levels of competence. You must develop the ability to speak the financial language of multiple jurisdictions. You have your base in one country, your assets in another, and your digital presence in a third. You exploit the gaps in the dragnet. When the digital ruble system implements a new restriction, you don't panic. You simply shift your weight to a different jurisdiction that hasn't implemented that specific feature yet. You are a liquid entity. You flow through the cracks of the national firewalls. Furthermore, we must address the end of the consumption status game. As we discussed in the financial dopamine series, status symbols are beacons for the state's sensors. In the world of the digital ruble, a luxury purchase is a tax invitation. The architect moves his pride from what I own to what I control. He finds satisfaction in the complexity of his moat rather than the size of his mansion. He builds invisible infrastructure. He spends his capital on encrypted communications, private education for his bloodline, off-grid energy, and private security. These are assets of resilience that don't show up on a CBDC ledger. He is building a parallel life that is physically present in the world, digitally not found. The third move is the construction of microeconomic circles of trust. You cannot be sovereign alone. A man alone is a statistical error that the AI will eventually correct. The architect builds a sovereign tribe. You find 5, 10, or 20 other architects who share your values of autonomy. You create a private trade guild. Within this circle, you trade value for value using your own internal hard asset ledger. You use a private stablecoin or physical bullion to settle debts between members. You create a closed-loop economy that is electromagnetically shielded from the state's digital ruble. Within this tribe, you are transparent and trusted. To the outside world, you are all just average citizens with low-value digital ruble wallets. You have created an economic fortress that is built on human relationships instead of centralized permission. The final component of the sovereign mindset is temporal detachment. The state uses the digital ruble to force you into short-termism through expiration dates and inflationary pressure. The architect thinks in generations. He views the CBDC era as a temporary dark age in human history, a period of technological feudalism that will eventually collapse under the weight of its own complexity and corruption. He isn't trying to fix the system. He is trying to outlast the system. He stores his wealth in assets of eternity: gold, Bitcoin, land, and knowledge. He knows that hard reality always wins against soft code in the long run. He is the patient predator waiting for the grid to stumble. The year 2026 is the year of the final selection. The introduction of the digital ruble is the filter that will separate the citizens from the subjects. The soft men will accept the digital noose because it comes with a 5% cashback on their favorite coffee. They will trade their blood right of privacy for a seamless user experience. They will walk into the electronic concentration camp because the gates are painted in friendly corporate colors. But the architect has already hard-faced his reality. He has built the bridges, he has purified the fuel, and he has ghosted the ledger. Part 3 is the psychological exit. Stop asking for the permission to be free and start exercising the capability to be sovereign. The digital ruble is a wall for the mind, but it is a sieve for the architect. Every condition they add to the code is an opportunity for you to find a workaround. Every restriction they implement is a reason for you to grow stronger. The lords of the grid think they have won because they own the database, but they forgot that they don't own the human spirit and they don't own the laws of mathematics. The digital ruble is their Tower of Babel. Let it fall. You will be the one standing in the ruins, holding the keys to the new world. End of protocol.